So Norte, I think you can start. We are recording this presentation. Think people is coming. We have 13 participants right now, so let's start.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. My name is Noortje. I'm working at Avans University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, and tonight we will be speaking to you about our university and our English bachelor degrees. Luckily, I have three very lovely students of ours that will be helping me out tonight. And I think it's nice to have a brief introduction of all three of them so that you know who they are, what they're studying, and where they're from. So maybe Sophia, can you start?
Yeah, soy Sofia, I'm Sofia, and I'm doing the International Business Program in Den Bosch. And I'm in the second year of my study, and yeah.
Great. Thank you, Sofia. Natalia, what about you?
Yes. Hola a todos, bienvenidos. Me llamo Natalia y estoy estudiando Environmental Sciences, ciencias del medio ambiente. Estoy en mi tercer año y yo hice el fast track, así que me salté el primer año y estoy en mi tercer año, pero solo he estado cursando 2 años.
Thank you, Natalia. And Juan, let's hope your mic works properly.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yo soy Juan Manuel González, soy de Colombia, pero me gradué en Alemania, en el Colegio Internacional de Leipzig, y ahora estoy en mi último año de negocios internacionales en Breda.
Thank you. Thank you. As you heard, they all speak Spanish. I unfortunately don't, but feel free to either drop any questions that you may have already while I'm speaking in the chat, and the students might be happy to answer them already in Spanish or in English, or tune me in if anything that I'm saying needs elaboration. But let's look at what we have to offer you guys. So we are based in the Netherlands. As you may or may not have visited before, there are a few things that often come to mind when we ask our international students or prospective students that are thinking of studying about the Netherlands what they think of when when it is about Holland. And then often we hear stuff like windmills, maybe soccer or ice skating or cheese or tulips, which you'll see on the slide here as well. But what's also important to mention is, of course, the quality of our education. We have a broad cultural diversity. As you could already see, we have students from all different places around the world that are studying in our programs. Even though we're not a native English-speaking country, the proficiency of English in the Netherlands is quite high. So even if you don't speak Dutch and you decide to come study in the Netherlands, of course, your study will be in English, but you would also be perfectly fine in finding your way around, social life, doing groceries, going out, without being able to speak Dutch, of course. And the same applies to the students. If I'm saying anything that you would want to agree or disagree with as I'm speaking, just feel free to jump in at every moment. Without getting too technical, I think it's only fair to have a quick look at the Dutch educational system. If you are, considering coming over to the Netherlands, it's good to know that we have 3 types of universities in the Netherlands. One is a University of Applied Sciences, which is Avans, is one of those. We have research universities and we have university colleges. What is important to remember about a University of Applied Sciences is that it's a very practice-based, hands-on type of degree where we prepare you for a certain profession. At a research university, as the name already tells a little bit, you focus on doing research. So you conduct scientific research and you create new scientific knowledge. Whereas at an applied sciences university, you would use these models or this knowledge to apply on real-life cases within organizations. University college you might be familiar with is similar to the American system, where you would have a bachelor program where you focus on science, social science, and humanities. After completing a bachelor degree in any of those 3 types of universities, you will be able to carry on with a master's degree if you wish. If you want to do this in the Netherlands, you sometimes need a pre-master, but it depends a little bit on the bachelor program that you have completed and the master program that you want to carry on with. But also you're more than welcome or perfectly capable actually of entering the job market after completing a bachelor's degree only. Some information about the university. I can imagine when you're looking at universities globally, it's difficult to establish, what is a good university, and you might want to look into rankings. If you look into the world rankings, you won't come across the Dutch universities of applied sciences. And the reason for this is that these world rankings are largely focused on scientific research and publications. And as I just mentioned, at an applied sciences university, we do not focus on carrying out scientific research, but we do have our own national rankings of universities of applied sciences. And I'm actually quite proud to mention that we have been named the best large university of applied sciences for 7 years in a row now. And the nice thing about this ranking is that, of course, it's an independent committee that assesses the universities and allocates these ranking positions. However, they also look into the feedback and the experience of our current students, our alumni, and also the employers of our graduates. So we look into how satisfied students are while they're studying with us, but also how satisfied the graduates are when they leave university. How easily do they find a job? How well do they fit the job market after completing a degree, but also how satisfied are the employers, the organizations, and the people hiring our graduates? How well do they match the needs to the companies in the professional field? Some facts and figures about the Netherlands. We are quite a big university. In total, we have 31,000 students, and among those, we have a little under 1,000 international students. You must think that's only a small part of the full population, which is of course correct. However, the international community is quite close-knit, meaning that the international degree programs, the ones that we teach in English, they are centered on the campuses in Breda and 's-Hertogenbosch, and you will be easily connected with your fellow students within your own program, but also across programs. You see that we have 250 international partners in 50 different countries. This makes up for a large part of the 80+ student nationalities that we have, because it means that we welcome a lot of international students from those partner schools every year. And at the same time, this also offers a very nice opportunity for you guys to explore different countries while you're studying by doing a semester exchange program in any of those partner schools in those 50 countries. Maybe, Natalia, can I ask you, being in such a big university, do you feel like it's difficult to, connect to other students or maybe find the other international students around you?
My experience, I can answer in Spanish, I guess. Y yo cuando empecé mi programa, encontré a gente que tiene una mentalidad similar a la mía. Somos gente que acabamos de dejar nuestro país nativo y todos estamos como in the same boat. Así que siempre vas a encontrar gente con una mentalidad parecida que tienen ganas de conocer a otra gente.
Thank you. So you see also that we have 13 locations in 4 city campuses. It's good to know maybe that you don't commute between those campuses. Depending on the program that you choose, you will have 1 campus city and you have 1, max 2 locations where you will be moving in between, so you don't have to travel across campus cities. We're all based in the south of the Netherlands, all cities are, and you can easily commute to other parts of the country if you're up for exploring bigger cities such as The Hague or Amsterdam or Rotterdam with the public transportation. You can easily travel there. Most connections are within the hour or a little over an hour, I would say. This is some footage of our campus in Breda. This is the main building, actually. I think, Juan, this is where you are based mostly, right? If you're in the Netherlands?
Yes, basically.
And how is your experience with the facilities? Do you have sufficient, spaces to work with or to, get your work done prior your classes maybe?
Yes, I think from all the locations that I've been for like the advanced buildings, This building, the one that you're actually just seeing, one left, top left, is my favorite one because of the facilities that it offers, the library, and the spaces that are available for students. Let's say if you want to go out to have, let's say, a quick lunch, you can just get and sit around the place, the green places that are there, and it's very user-friendly. Should I explain in Spanish as well, I guess?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I think it's much better, Juan. Please.
Vale. Como estaba explicando al Miss Norche, me estaba preguntando que en qué facultad yo estudiaba. Yo estoy estudiando negocios internacionales en la facultad de Breda, en la ciudad de Breda, del norte de Durante, que queda con la frontera con Bélgica. Y esta facultad es muy espaciosa, por lo que están los cursos internacionales, digamos, con más estudiantes. La biblioteca es muy grande y el ambiente es muy natural. Hay muchos parques alrededor, puedes caminar, puedes salir a tomarte algo con tus compañeros. También hay salas de ping-pong dentro de las mismas facilidades y todo es muy accesible. O sea que si tienes alguna discapacidad puedes utilizar el elevador y todo es muy central. La Breda es tan pequeñito que puedes ir al centro en 5 minutos en bici, puedes ir a la apoteca, que sería la farmacia, los hospitales, todo queda muy cerca. Y para mí, mi experiencia propia ha sido fascinante, por lo que no solamente he conocido estudiantes internacionales, pero también he aprendido mucho y desarrollado mi parte profesional y personal. Y profesional, sí.
Thank you, Juan. So it was also good to know, of course, independent of the program that you choose and the campus city that you're based in, you will always have access to excellent facilities in every campus buildings. Everywhere there's workplaces where you can either work with your fellow students or individually. So, bear in mind that is pretty well sorted for all locations that we have. Then, why should you consider Avans? I think the 3 most important reasons are the international focus, the practice-based education, and the personal approach that we try to offer to all of our students at Avans. With the international focus, we mean that you will be in an international community of students and lecturers, but not only that, you will also be able to gain some international work experience already by doing your work placements during the studies. The projects that you're working on are mostly focused on organizations that are either based in an international environment or are operating internationally. Hopefully, when we are allowed to travel a bit more, the international study trips will come back into place, and we always pay attention to intercultural management and intercultural communication in every program. With practice-based education, you heard me say it already a few times, but we find it very important to prepare you for the professional field with any type of degree that you take at Avans University. And we do this right from the beginning by offering you different kinds of cases or business cases or projects where you actually work together with companies, or you carry out an assignment for a real organization. They will often come into the university, give a guest lecture, or provide you with a certain case or issue that they're faced with, and they want you together with a group of students to look into the issue that they have and come up with a solution or recommendation. Next to this group work that you do throughout your studies, you also have 1 year dedicated to practical experience before graduation. So you have 2 semesters where you actually leave the university. You don't have any classes, any exams. You will just be working along in a company with the day-to-day tasks to find out what it is that you like, to find out what it is that you're good at, and really already start building your own network and your own experience within the professional field. Maybe before I move on, I don't know, Natalia or Sofia or Juan, I believe, Natalia, you told me you finished your internship today, right?
Yes, that's right.
How was your experience with this particular internship?
Pues como ha dicho Norche, acabo de acabar mis prácticas, de hecho las he acabado hoy. Y mis prácticas en mi programa tienen curso en el tercer año, el primer semestre del tercer año, y yo siento que el Practice-Based Education es una de las cosas que me ha ayudado más en mis prácticas, porque ya desde el principio del programa me ha dado mucha experiencia en lo que las compañías esperan y cómo escribir y cómo producir un producto que de verdad les hará un servicio bueno. Así que mi experiencia en el programa me ha ayudado muchísimo en mis prácticas. Back to you.
Thank you. And third, but also very important, is the personal approach. As I mentioned, we are a big university, but we do assign all students a personal mentor. So throughout your studies, you always have somebody that's there for you to look together with you at your academic performance, but also if you need any kind of personal support, they're there to help you out or to help you find out where to get this support if needed. Next to that, it will be mostly small classes, and you have very close contact with your lecturers. With some of them, you might even be on a first name basis. It's very easy to approach them, just, meet up with them for a cup of coffee and to, discuss your projects or the things that you're working on, or schedule a meeting online. I think all of the students can relate to the fact that you can easily reach out to your lecturers, right?
Yes,
You see some nodding, so that means agreement. This is again some footage of the facilities that we have in the main campus building, but as I said, facilities like the canteens or the cafes or the research laboratories, especially for the environmental science program, they are always available and accessible at the campus should you need to work on your lab skills or your projects there. Then we're coming down to the actual programs that we have on offer. So Natalia already mentioned she's studying the short track program for environmental science for sustainable energy technology. We have another more technical program, industrial engineering and management. We have finance and control, finance program, and we have two business programs, one in the location in 's-Hertogenbosch, which is where Sofia is based, and the one in Breda, which is the one that Juan is representing. So environmental science for sustainable energy and technology is quite the mouthful, but normally we abbreviate it to assets. And I think generally speaking, it means that this program has its origin in natural sciences, such as biology, chemistry, a little bit of geography, ecology, but you don't study it in the traditional way, but you learn how to apply these sciences on environmental issues. And you do this mostly by carrying out different projects related to, let's say, sustainable energy resources, or maybe soil or water pollution. But also you look into more corporate side of things, for instance, environmental policy and law, corporate social responsibility. Maybe Natalia, you can give an example of maybe your favorites or most interesting course or project so far within the program.
Vale, pues mi clase favorita ha sido, bueno, fue en el segundo proyecto, donde, bueno, a mí me llamó mucho el tema de la economía circular. Y es, pues sí, el proyecto era sobre waste management techniques y teníamos que diseñar dos sistemas de waste management para una isla, empezando desde cero y llevándolo hasta el final. Y me gustó mucho ese proyecto y pues eso, el concepto de la economía circular pues se me ha quedado mucho conmigo.
Did you already also choose your study track, Natalia, from those two?
Yeah. Entonces, después del internship, puedes triar tu specialization. Y yo he triado el de Energy and Resource Recovery.
Okay. So you see in the program structure that it's a 4-year program, but Natalia's doing a fast track. So it means that she's more or less skipping the first year or having a more condensed first year as a combination between year 1 and 2. But if you attend the full program, then these are the different topics that you will address. And you also see that every year is divided into 4 quarters. And after every quarter, which takes up more or less 10 weeks, you have your exams and your tests, and then you move on to a next quarter with new projects, new courses. So we try to make the blocks of information that you need to process and need to study somewhat manageable by doing this. Different kinds of career prospects. If you are completing the degree in environmental science, you will get a bachelor degree in science, but there's different career paths that you can pursue. It depends again also largely on what it is, of course, that you want to achieve with the program, but you see there are different types of positions, either more related to the research part of things, working in a laboratory as a research assistant, or maybe more on a policy level where you work for national or local governments, where you work on healthy and safety policies, for instance, but also more related to soil remediation or coral reef remediation, all kinds of different directions that you could pursue. Do you already have an idea, Natalia, what it is that you want to pursue once you're finishing the program?
Yo todavía no tengo una idea súper clara de lo que quiero hacer en un futuro. Tengo pequeñas ideas, pero sí que mis prácticas y mi proyecto final de graduación van a ayudar mucho a determinar lo que me gusta a mí y el camino donde quiero ir. Y hay mucha libertad en triar dónde quieres hacer tus prácticas y sobre qué las quieres hacer.
Thank you, Natalia. Then we're moving on to industrial engineering and management. As the name already tells, it's a combination between engineering on the one hand and management on the other part, but you will be specializing in maintenance management, which means that you need to have the technological understanding of complex maintenance processes, for instance, in automotive industries or aviation, or in IT infrastructures, for instance, but you're not the one carrying out the maintenance, but you will be the one that is responsible for planning, coordinating, and managing these maintenance processes that are carried out by the engineers on the work floor. So it's also very important that you have a good understanding of the management decisions that need to be made, what kind of investments need to be made, what risks are you taking, and you need to convince or inform your own higher level management on those developments within your company. This again is a 4-year program. You see they have a similar division where you have from year 2, every second semester is dedicated to this practical work experience that you already get by doing work placements, graduation internship, and project work. So this really helps you again in another field, but to find out what it is that you like and what it is that you want to pursue upon graduation. But it's always a combination, as you can see here in the triangle, with business and management, technology, but also usage, safety, and environment. Different career prospects, everything is related to the field of engineering. I must say in the Netherlands especially, there's a very high demand for engineers. You might know that large part of the country is largely below sea level, so we have a very impressive defense mechanism of keeping the water out the country, preventing the country from flooding. And this is one of the most important things that of course needs maintenance within the Netherlands. And this is something where our industrial engineers often find work in this particular field. Then we're coming down to the business programs. So the international business programs, they do have quite some things in common, but they also very different in their approach to teaching, I must say, but we'll come to speak about that when we hear Juan and Sophia about that. But you will be covering different fields of international business. And you see a few examples here, like logistics, financial accounting, but also marketing, sales, and foreign languages. So when we're speaking about the international business program in Breda, it's again, a 4-year program, and the focus would be on marketing, finance, and management. This is the latest and updated program structure. I'm not 100% sure, Juan, if this still is your curriculum or that you have a slightly different focus on topics, but these would be different projects and cases in the field of international business that you will come across. You see again that you have the option to do the work placement, the minor, and the graduation internship here as well. The faculty asks you, of course, or offers you the opportunity to gain international working experience. So as an international student, you could decide that you want to stay in the Netherlands for any of those 3 options, but you're also allowed to travel wherever you want, as long as either the work placement or the minor is related to your field of study. What is particularly nice about the degree program in Breda is that they have the option to do a double degree. And it means that you study the first 2 years in the Netherlands and the last 2 years in a partner school. And this can either be in Italy, in Germany, in Mexico, or in France. And upon graduation, you will get, as the name already tells, a double degree. So one from the Dutch institution and one from the international institution. And this gives you quite an advantage, of course, when you start looking for a job on the job market. Career opportunities are very good. You have a very broad foundation in all kinds of different fields, but you see that large part of the students, they move either into marketing, into sales, into accounting and finance. Maybe, Juan, do you already have an idea what it is that you want to do, or are you still, you know, using your upcoming internships to figure out what it is that you want to do?
Actually, I do know what I want to do. So, lo voy a explicar en español. Ya que soy en mi último año, tengo la posibilidad de hacer mis prácticas en una empresa y elegí por emprender, un proyecto de emprendimiento, el cual mi visión, mi sueño es ser emprendedor, y a base de la educación que he tenido en Breda, voy a crear un proyecto y ya, voy a emprender. O puedes elegir 2 opciones, o trabajas, coges experiencia, o también puedes emprender. Y yo he elegido por el emprendimiento. Que ahorita por el tema del corona, obviamente se le hace muy difícil a otras personas obtener las prácticas, pero como yo lo he hecho, hay la segunda oportunidad de hacer el white paper, que significa hacer una investigación en un campo que te guste, y yo la estoy haciendo para un emprendimiento que voy a hacer. Eso fue lo que yo elegí, utilizando todo lo que he obtenido, o sea, el strategic management, marketing knowledge que obtuve durante todos los 3 años. Yo soy en mi 4º año y ahora solamente es aplicarlo.
Juan, ¿nos podrías decir sobre qué tipo de empresa querías montar algo? Un poco, pues nos tienes en intriga. Creo que es algo secreto, pero ¿alguna idea?
Sí, es, la verdad lo guardo para mí, pero les voy a compartir un poco eso. Yo tengo familia aquí en Colombia que son cafeteros, tienen mucho café, y lo que va a hacer va a ser un trabajo como de franquicia de café. Y bueno, hasta ahí cuento, no, pero es relacionado al comercio exterior, a los negocios internacionales. O sea, todo lo que he adquirido, todo el conocimiento que he adquirido en Breda y lo de estudiar International Business, me ha ayudado a reconocer, digamos, las mejores estrategias, cómo entrar a diferentes mercados, y eso es lo que voy a hacer. O sea, voy a estar relacionado con lo que es exportación, y eso es el proyecto que voy a hacer.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. Vas a ser el próximo Juan Valdés, ¿no? Gracias.
Juan Manuel.
Thank you for that, Juan. So let's have a look at the next program. which is Sophia's program. So you will get the same type of degree upon graduation. It's a Bachelor of Business Administration, but the focus in this program is slightly different. The focus here is on marketing, communication, and sales. And what is very different compared to the program in Breda is that here you have the opportunity to create your own individual learning path based on your own interests, and the structure is way more flexible in terms of which courses you want to take, when you want to take them, how you organize your work placements, which is very nice, but it also requires quite some planning and quite some thinking ahead and knowing what it is that you want to achieve through this program. So here you really are part of an international business community where you work together with alumni, so students that have already graduated, international companies, but also startups. And your lectures here are often referred to as coaches. You will see different kinds of, broad foundation of different fields that you will need for international business, where you can choose from what it is that you want to focus on or specialize in. But your individual profile is based on interest, skills, and languages. So maybe, Sophia, you can tell a little bit about your own program and how you composed and the choices you made and why.
Yeah. Pues bueno, en este programa tienes más o menos 4 temas importantes. Uno que sea, no sé, conector, que es una persona que sabe mucha gente y puede coger a más. El otro que es creador, y es mi favorito. Y bueno, tienes 2 más, pero con cada año escoges cada año uno menos, así que, o 2, no estoy segura. Último año hemos hecho, el primer año, hemos hecho todos 4, un proyecto para cada uno, y este año hemos elegido solo 2. Así que justo esta semana he acabado mi primer semestre y mi primer proyecto que he elegido. Y ya, también pues cada semestre más o menos cambiar también la idioma que estás aprendiendo. Yo hasta ahora estaba aprendiendo solo holandés, pero ahora también voy a cambiar a francés, así que es muy interesante y flexible tener todos estos aspectos, especialmente con los profesores que también siempre están ahí contigo realmente, y todo el tiempo te están ayudando, porque más o menos te dicen qué hacer, pero lo hagas más o menos solo tú, así que ya, es un poco interesante así.
Thank you, Sophia. I think I heard you say something already about the lectures, indeed, that you work in a different way together with them. As I said, they're often referred to as coaches. You have a business coach that is working closely together with you on, the projects that you're working on, not so much telling you what it is that you need to do, but more or less, pointing you in a direction where you can find information or a way of thinking that you might, need to follow up on to come up with a creative solution. And a mindset coach is also there to support you when it comes to your personal development. And so it's more or less working, together with your lectures instead of just taking the information. The same applies to your exams. They're often processed as an integrated assessment, meaning that you not always have an exam where you study for and come in, but it's part of a bigger project that you do, and you will be assessed on the different parts. For instance, your presentation skills, your report writing skills, but also content-wise, how did you translate the theory into a suitable solution? Is that right, Sofía? Or do you have a different?
Yeah. Bueno, creo que básicamente es no hay exámenes, básicamente. Solo estás haciendo el proyecto y al final del semestre lo que das, esto cuenta un poco como examen, pero claro, no es exactamente la idea de un examen clásico.
And how is your experience with the exams for the languages?
Bueno, para idiomas hay un examen que es solo de hablar, que a mí me gusta porque más o menos es bastante relajado y hay muchas, es más como conversación y bueno, hay muchas conversaciones durante la programa, así que si te gusta más hablar que escribir también está bien. Pero también hay uno que escribes y siempre se va con tu nivel de lo que de tu idioma, así que creo que es bastante útil.
Thanks, Sophia. So for the alumni here, you see that most of the students, they actually move into the professional field upon graduation. And with the International Business Program, you have very good career prospects because you have a very broad foundation in different fields. And of course, the internships, they really help you because you already started building your own network and connections while studying. In short, some important differences and similarities between the two international business programs. So don't mistake them to be the exact same program on a different location. They do have a very different approach and a very different focus. So one is not better than the other, but it really depends on the type of student that you are and how you like to study and what it is that you would like to achieve with the program. If you're very much into languages, you will also, find what you're looking for in both programs. In 's-Hertogenbosch, you can study French, German, Spanish, and Dutch. You can choose more than one if you like. In Breda, you can choose from French, German, Spanish, or Chinese. And you could also decide if you want to do that double degree program, then you will be studying for 2 years in the native language of the country where you go to. So that would really help you to become fluent in a second foreign language, of course. So the finance program that we have is called Finance and Control. It's a Bachelor of Science and you focus on economics, finance, and accounting. Most often students are a little bit scared of the program because they think it's very, only focused on working with numbers or, very mathematics based or economics based. Of course, it has a strong foundation there, but you also work very hard on your business skills, your communication skills, because the financial information is often seen as a very, complex information within an organization. So it's very important that you are able to translate that into understandable bits and pieces of information for different layers of the organization that you're working on. So you see also topics related to risk management, but also international merger and acquisition, data management, integrated reporting. As I said, of course, always focusing on financial information, financial developments within an organization, but it's not only making calculations every day. In this particular program, again, in the Netherlands, but also internationally, there's a very high demand for international financial professionals. So we see that students in this program already get offered jobs when they're in their 3rd or 4th year, when they're doing work placements, then companies are asking them to either come back or stay on because there's a very high demand for people in this profession. So those were the bachelor programs that we have on offer. I will briefly walk you through some practical matters if you wish to apply in the Netherlands. You start always with StudyLink, but Jose, he is our official partner, so he knows everything from top to bottom when it comes to applying in the Netherlands. But just so you have an idea of which steps to take, it's an online registration first. Then we ask you to submit your required documents via email. I will tell you in a little bit what documents you need for the application. If you meet the first criteria, then we invite you over for an intake assessment and an interview. The intake assessment is done online. It's a few surveys that you need to fill out. And then you have an interview with one of the lecturers in the program. This is not an entry test or an exam, but this is just for us to know a little bit more about you and about your motivation and what you hope to achieve with the program. And then after this interview, you get a recommendation from the lecturer, and he or she will say, okay, I think you're a good match with the program, or maybe they have a little bit of doubt, or maybe they even say, I don't think it's such a good match, but it's only a recommendation. So it means that even if you are convinced that this is the right program for you and you get a negative advice or a doubt, then you can still pursue your application because it's not binding for your final admission. Then practical preparation starts, like housing. We welcome you with an introduction week at Avans University. We help you settle in the university, but also in your campus city, because there's always a few practical matters that still need to be arranged. You sometimes need a Dutch bank account. You will need to register at City Hall, and the international office will be available to help you out with these practicalities upon your arrival. So what do you need if you want to apply? Of course, a diploma, a high school diploma, a copy of that, and your transcript of records. You can already start with the application even though you have not graduated yet. In that case, we would ask for a preliminary statement from your school. We need a passport copy or a national ID card. And in some cases, we do ask students to provide a proof of their English language proficiency. However, there's also rules for exemption. If you have, for instance, completed your high school education completely in English, then you can qualify for an exemption for this language test. Important deadlines: if you are from outside the EU, it's 1st of June. If you are from within the EU, then it's 1st of August. The reason for this difference is because if you're from outside the EU, then the university needs to apply for your visa, which can take a little bit longer time to get everything arranged. This doesn't mean that by these dates you need to have completed your application, but it means that you need to have submitted the first step of your application so that we know that you are in process of becoming a student at Avans. Of course, the world has changed a bit ever since the pandemic hit, so it also means that it can influence your application. Of course, it might be more difficult to obtain your documents or receive your final documents if there's any delay in exams or anything. Know that we are trying to be as flexible as we can, but we do indicate to students that it's always important, now more than ever, to apply as soon as you can. There's no application fee involved, there's no cost involved if you withdraw your application, so there's no risk you're taking by starting your application early. It only gives you more chances and more time to complete everything before the start of the academic year. The academic year in the Netherlands always starts in September. At the moment, some parts of the education is being taught on campus, but some parts of the educations are fully online. As you noticed, Juan at the moment is in Colombia, so he's taking his courses all online. Juan, how's your experience so far with the online lessons? Can you keep up?
Yes, wait a second. Yeah, I do this transition from present, la transición, perdón, me estaba confundido un poco. En este momento estoy tomando todas mis clases en línea y la verdad no tengo ningún inconveniente, por lo que nos prepararon antes para que no tuviéramos ningún problema, así que lo recomiendo.
Would you prefer to go back to on-site classes again if you can?
Indeed. Por supuesto, prefiero las clases presenciales, por lo que interactúas más con los profesores y tienes sus compañeros, digamos, como amigos ahí presentes. Lastimosamente, por la situación que estamos viviendo ahora, no se puede, pero hay que adaptarse. Como en todos los negocios, hay que adaptarse. Si hay un nuevo ambiente, hay que adaptarse y también nos enseña a adaptarnos, y creo que es muy importante saber esos cambios y saber cómo adaptarse.
And how is that for you, Natalia? Because I think you are still having some practicals in the university, right?
Yeah. Bueno, yo como he estado haciendo mis prácticas, no he tenido clases, Así que a mí los cambios del COVID me afectaron más el año pasado, el último semestre del año pasado, y sí que mi programa se adaptó bastante bien. Sí que hay algunas prácticas de laboratorio que sé que los estudiantes del primer y segundo año han podido hacer de forma presencial, pero sí que tomando más precauciones. Pero sí, algunas actividades no se pueden hacer online, así que la universidad se ha adaptado.
Then another important practical matter, of course, to arrange if you decide to study in the Netherlands is housing. What might be good to know is that in the Netherlands, the majority of students, they don't live on campus, but they live in student housing. So it means that you have a house or an apartment where you have your own room for studying and sleeping. And then you share facilities with a few others. The university does offer housing to new incoming international students in the first year. But there's always less rooms than new incoming students, and they're more or less allocated on a first come first served basis. So it might be a challenge to obtain a room via the university. If you don't want to rent via the university, or if you cannot rent via the university anymore, then there's always support in terms of, you know, what are reliable parties when you're looking for a room. But in this particular situation, we do recommend students to start looking for housing as soon as possible. So I don't know, Natalia, how was your experience with finding accommodation in Breda back then?
Yo tuve la oportunidad de poder alquilar mi habitación durante el primer año a través de el housing que ofrece Avans. Lo recomiendo muchísimo porque sí que es muy difícil encontrar una habitación y además los precios que ofrecen a través de Avans son muy racionables y yo creo que es una de las mejores opciones. También conoces a gente de tu programa y de otros programas. Otras opciones son a través de grupos de Facebook, pero sí que es bastante difícil encontrar una habitación, especialmente si no vives aquí. En tu segundo año, ya como tienes más conexiones y ya estás un poco más integrado, es más fácil encontrar una habitación, pero recomiendo coger el housing a través de la universidad del primer año.
Concuerdo con Natalia, es un tema muy delicado, por lo que a mí mis estudiantes que se han llegado a quedar sin, digamos, sin hospedaje, por lo que no la miro con tiempo. Así que 100% recomendado, mírenlo con mucho tiempo de anticipación y únanse en todos los grupos de Facebook como Housing Breda, muy importante.
Yeah, thanks for the addition, Juan. So if you have managed to arrange your housing, then we do welcome you for the introduction week. Normally it's a very nice and interactive event where you meet all the international students coming over, either for exchange, for bachelors, for masters. It's a very nice few days where you get to explore the city a little bit, get settled in within the university, and also have some time to, to relax and to socialize. Unfortunately, we had to do a virtual introduction last September, but it's a good way also to get acquainted with your fellow students, even if you have to start with online education for your first semester. Some other important practical matters related to finance, tuition fee in the Netherlands. If you study in a public university, which applies to Avans, the tuition fee for EU students is €2,168 for an academic year. If you enroll in a bachelor program for the first time in the first year, you get 50% discount. In year 2, 3, and 4, you do pay the full amount. For non-EU students, the tuition fee is quite high compared to the non-EU fee. It's €8,296, and the reason for this difference is that the universities receive funding from the European Commission for every European student studying within the European Economic Area. But if you're a non-EU citizen, then this subsidy isn't received by the university, so we'll have to calculate the actual amount without this funding from the EU. Cost of living, to give you an indication, rent can vary between 275 and 600 euros a month. It depends, of course, on the size of the room, the location of the room. You need to think of costs for insurance, groceries, just to have an estimate of what you would need every month for your living expenses. As an EU student, there's also ways to become eligible for student finance, which is a student loan. So it's not the same as a scholarship or a gift, but you can apply for a tuition fee loan, and then you get a monthly allowance to cover your tuition fee expenses. There's an extra part that you can qualify for if you take on a student job. This part exists of an extra allowance and a student travel card. So it means that you can travel for free in public transportation either during the weekends or the weekdays. But in order to qualify for this, you need to have a job on the side for at least 56 hours a month, which can be quite a challenge, of course, because you have a full-time study load, and also especially with students' jobs, they're mostly on an on-call basis. So when it's busy, it might be easy to make those hours, but when it's quiet, you're also the first one, that they send home. And it's very important to be able to qualify for it, that you have this 56 hours every month consistently. So bear that in mind, should you need to apply for that. Of course, there's more to life than only studying. There's also quite some fun activities organized in Breda, but also 's-Hertogenbosch. Here you see our sports facilities in the city of Breda, which is a nice hangout for both Dutch and international students, because you can get unlimited access to all the sports that they're offering for only 100 euros a year. There's normally a lot of outdoor festivals where we celebrate, the opening of the academic year, King's Day, Jazz Festival, and I would definitely hope that you would have the opportunity to experience them in the future again. Student associations, those are part of sometimes the universities, sometimes they're independent, but these are groups where you can meet your fellow students either on a program level or on shared interests. Or for internationals only, such as ESM Breda, they focus on the international community in Breda. Is any one of you guys part of an association, a study association in Breda or Den Bosch? No? Well, it is a nice, it is a nice way to get acquainted with your fellow students across programs, and Essence is the one for environmental science in particular. There is multiple ways to get in touch with us and to read more into the programs that we have on offer. One of those is the e-magazine. If you go into this link, then you can read a whole lot more about the topics that we've been discussing this evening with you guys. So let me get that away. And then student ambassadors, you've met a few of our students already, but we also have a page dedicated to our student ambassadors on the website. They have a small profile there with their contact details. So should anything come to mind later on that you want to discuss with any one of our students, feel free to drop them a line via this page as well. It's difficult, of course, to give you an insight within the university at the moment, but we do have our YouTube channel with some nice videos about the different locations and the different programs that we have. So feel free to have a look there as well. And as I said, there's multiple ways to get in touch. Feel free to do so, but of course we are still available tonight to answer any questions that you might have. So I think this would be the moment to put them in the chat or open up your mic. That's also fine for me, and we can address them straight away.
Thank you very much, Nortets. I want to apologize for not having introduced myself at the beginning, of course. So, mi nombre es José Abedín, soy CEO, fundador de Educoway, pero en realidad somos un equipo. Y lo que hoy hemos traído, pues, Avans University, porque colaboramos con ellos y creemos que tienen muchas muy buenas oportunidades para los estudiantes españoles y europeos. Nosotros como Educoway estamos aquí ubicados en Valencia, pero trabajamos con estudiantes de toda España y lo que hacemos pues es orientar vocacionalmente, ayudar a ver cuáles son las opciones que mejor encajan con cada estudiante. Como habéis visto, Avans University tiene una metodología extremadamente práctica, resolutiva, enfocada en empresas, en solucionar problemas reales. Pues a los estudiantes que le encaja más esta metodología, pues sería perfecto. Y luego ayudamos en todo lo demás, el proceso de documentación, matrículas, también el alojamiento. Como está diciendo Juan Manuel, es complicado el tema del alojamiento y es importante solicitarlo cuanto antes. Por eso los plazos están abiertos de matrículas y creo que cuanto uno antes se empiece a informar, pues más poder de decisión y no le van a comer esos plazos, porque este tipo de alojamientos también funcionan en una especie de listas y si llegamos tarde, pues lo que pasa siempre, ¿no? Lo han obtenido otras personas. Y ahora pasamos, pues, bueno, a las preguntas y respuestas que podáis ir teniendo, ¿no? Y aquí hace una pregunta Sonia. Sonia is asking, how many students per class do you have? You guys, for example, how many students are in your class? And also, how many nationalities? I don't know. Sofía, for example.
I think that más o menos cada clase, cada sesión que tenemos, en plan todos juntos, como máximo 20 personas, que normalmente son clases súper pequeñas, porque también estáis siempre en tus grupos del proyecto, así que es bastante relajado, pequeños grupos y ya.
Más o menos, ¿me podrías decir las nacionalidades? ¿Cuántas nacionalidades diferentes hay en tu clase?
En Den Bosch, por el momento ahora no hay tantas personas internacionales. Así que en mi clase del momento creo que hay una chica que es alemana y griega, otro que es portugués y creo que hay unos otros, pero no me acuerdo súper bien ya.
Muy bien. We have another question. It's asking about master. Maybe you, Nortech, you can explain better about the masters.
Sorry. Yeah, we do have two master programs. One is in fine art. Well, I have actually four, but there are two main programs. So one is in fine art and design, and they have three research pathways. One is ecology futures, situated design, and visual arts and post-contemporary practices. And the other program is in animation. So it's all a master's in art, so related to arts programs. The master in animation is a one-year professional master, so it's quite intense in that sense. And the other masters I mentioned are two-year programs, and those are research masters in the artistic field. So it means that you have also a lot of freedom to explore your own artistic style and your own process. You choose your topic within your field of study that you want to explore. And what is important for these master programs is that you need to have a background already in the field of art. So you either need to have a bachelor in arts or in an adjacent field, and you need to be able to show your work. So you need to have a portfolio or some past experience, or maybe from your own practice, where you can already show what you have been doing and what your style is. So This portfolio review is not so, well, it's of course about the quality of your work, but it's not the most important part. The most important part is how distinctive your artistic style is and how the master programs can still help you further develop this. So this is more or less suitable for people who want to become an artist or a designer or want to set up their own professional practice, or maybe they had a professional practice already for a few years and they want to extend their knowledge. So it's, I would say, a very hands-on and professional master in that field. Those are the only masters at advanced that we offer in English. So they're not related to the bachelor programs that we have been discussing this afternoon. So if you would complete a bachelor degree at advanced and you want to continue with a master's degree after, that's a perfect option, but you will have to switch universities. Within the Netherlands, you will mostly end up in research universities, but you could actually take your bachelor degree to a university anywhere in the world, because your degree will be internationally acknowledged if you apply for any other university around the world.
Thank you, Nortec. So Astrid, as you can see, this is a specific master, but if you want to study a master in another area, different area, so we can help you from Educoway, everything you need. You have a free counseling advice. So just contact with us in our website, fill the form, and one of our counselors behind me will be in contact with you as soon as possible. Marcos has another question. Do I need to have high grades to access to the Bachelor in International Business? I know the answer, but maybe you can answer.
No, yeah, the answer is, well, if you have them, it's never a bad thing to have high grades, but we don't select students on the high grades for the International Business Program. Of course, you need to meet the overall admission requirements and the overall level that is required to enter the program. But we do believe in the Netherlands that being an excellent high school student isn't necessarily a guarantee of being a very good student in the university. So it might seem relatively easy maybe to get in because you don't need high grades, you just need to meet the overall qualifications, but we actually want you to prove yourself in the first year. And this means that in the first year, there is a maximum of 60 credits that you can obtain. And if you have less than 52, then you're not allowed to carry on with the program. So I would say the importance we place more on your performance in the university than before. So don't be fooled by the entry requirements. You will have to hit the ground running once you start with the program.
Great. Also, it's asking about the English level.
Yeah, it's B2 level. So for an IELTS, that would be an overall score of 6.0. That's the minimum to get in. And as I mentioned, if you already studied maybe fully in English in high school, then you don't have to submit the English test. It will come up during the intake interview as well, and will be part of the surveys too. So we do check, of course, if you can cope with the English level, but that's the minimum requirement, B2.
Thank you. That's perfect. So I think we don't have more questions. So I want to say thank you very much for the presentation, Nortec, also Sofía, Natalia, Juan Manuel Valdés. Everything you need, students, so we are here. You can contact with us, with Avans or with Educoway. We try to help you with everything, accommodation, application form. So I think we have more questions. Esmeralda says, what degrees of sciences are there?
We have the Bachelor of Science that you obtain for environmental science, and the Bachelor of Science you also get for the Industrial Engineering and Management program. And if you're really looking for like a science degree, let's say a Bachelor in Chemistry or a Bachelor in Physics, we don't have those programs. They're integrated within the foundation of the environmental science program, for instance, but they do all comprise practices. So every program at a University of Applied Sciences requires you to get some hands-on experience at some point in the program. Whether it's business, whether it's science, you will always have to do the practical part of it.
Great, excellent. So if we don't have more questions, I want to say thank you again. I hope to go Breda next year, hopefully.
I will be waiting for you there.
And thank you very much, guys, for everything. Good luck.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope to see you all in the future again.
Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you very much. Good luck.